For the hackathon in particular, I've used the agent AIQ toolkit, and I built a particular component tool within the examples folder. One of the importance of it is that I'm reusing some of the tools which have already been created by the community, like the memory manager plus getting the current date time. The application which I've built today is focused around a complete travel industry where not only you can check your flight statuses on the go, but also you can ask the chatbot or the LLM agent that I want you to schedule my whole flight, check whatever you need to do, whatever flight is available in different portals, different APIs, and give me a very optimal plan. It could be as random as I want to fly today from this place to this, or maybe I want to travel across India, because some of this data which have been collected has been more focused around India given the limited time. So if you see here, there are a lot of tools here which get all these details. I'll be talking about some of the sources from which I'm collecting this data from. Particularly, I'm using mem0 for maintaining the memory. So there is an API key which you can create very freely by getting started here. And Aviation Stock also provides you a free API key by making 100 API calls in a month or so in a period. So due to this limitation, what I've done is all this information I've collected and stored in a SQLite database, which can be collected and queried very easily by the agentic AI system here, with flight schedules being very dynamic. That is, we're fetching the flight on the go. And if you still have the flight schedules data not available due to API issues, you can still fail over to the database. And if you see, it just gives you information about the airplane, but it doesn't give you, once you land at some place, if you want to view it, the surroundings. So that is why we are connecting to the Amadeus API here, which gives you more information about, on-demand flight status, and more, which I'll touch upon very quickly. And finally, the large language model which I'm using is DeepSeek, because it's very flexible. I tried very small models and some other models, Nematron, but they couldn't, collect all the information. Some just did give you the information without going through the context or calling the tools. So I think DeepSeek, I found it very interesting. Some of the limitations which I found was that the API which it was calling was limited for nvidia due to the developer settings and the trial. So I was not able to make a lot of calls to the large language model. So there's a limited resource there. Now going to the source code here, if you see here, the very first thing is that I'm using the UI frontend to check the interface. So here I am in the toolkit here, which I'll use to interact with the travel scheduler. So my component is called flight details, and you'll need to create those API keys in particular, and those will look very. A lot of tools are used here, if you see, and these to give you just an idea, the date time to get it current. Date context and all these other details, and finally geolocation detail, because we'll touch upon 3 use cases. Particularly, let's say I want to travel from Bombay to Bangalore in India. So I wanted to give me the flight details, which would help me there. So that's where it will use these, including the timetable details, which is the table where it is stored upon. And I've also stored the the Python files which I used to create those. Uh, so that is one part to it. And the second part is about the if you think about here the whole system point. So yeah, airline ticket and travel planning, but you must make memory tool calls first, and also the what are the user you want to take. So it's an ID we are taking randomly here for particular use case, and any image tag we are seeing, we're displaying it so that the user gets a better experience of the surroundings, the hotels they want to stay in, along with some of the activities they can do in the nearby places. And also, if they are traveling from one place, we also want to show them, how does the travel route look like for them, as if they travel in one part of the world. So, and if there's a latitude and longitude, we also want to show them the map on live so that they can explore the area around it, giving them some experience to it. Uh, so those are the overall. You can go through the code. Most of them are very making API calls, but most of the description has been shared for each of them so that the large language model gets a context around what to use it. So now let's see it and experiments. Hope everything runs fine here. Uh, I want to travel from Bombay to Bangalore. So now it's calling, the agentic AI system is working here. Let's say it's gone to the large language model so that it can plan around it. Now it's going to the timetable details, which is the table which contains all the flight details where it can find all this information. And this particular table, if you might see here, it takes two inputs. So this gives the, kind of its information like what is the flight type, whether it's a departure. So it knows that it is a departure from Bombay, and it knows the departure IIT code. So it gets all these flight details, based, and it allows us thinking intelligence to figure that out. So it will get this information here, and we can see it here in action. The kind of the data which is coming. If you see here particularly, it got all the flight details, and now it knows what to display to me. And also, if you see, it knows that there's a flight route, so it will give me some other information. Now if you see here, uh, okay, this is interesting. I think, okay, I think I need to at least visit this URL once. So I'll copy this so that, and maybe the cookies or some, let's figure this out. But it gives you the location where you're traveling, so you get a nice experience. So if you see here, it gives me the flight details, okay, at which time, which terminal, and which baggage. So these are like some flight options based on the time which I can select. And also it gives me, from which part to which I'm traveling to, from Bombay to Bangalore here. And there's a nice, view which is public we are using. Oh yeah, and here is a map here. So it gives us the map here, and we can travel, we can see what are the routes around here. Let us try another route here. I want to explore activities around Bangalore with, let's try this. So now it knows to, to get to the activities which are here. You can get an activity based on a latitude and longitude, but you don't know the latitude and longitude. So for that, it can go to the geolocation details here, which says that you can fetch latitude, but you need a city. So it knows our city is to Bangalore. So it lets it think. Let's see how it thinks about this. And this also has a memory capability. So if some context is missing, so if you see, it's now fetched the latitude and longitude from this API, from this detail here, let log, and now uh, it's fetched this, and now it's taking the next route. Let's see. Okay, now it's getting the tours and activities. Okay, so this is super cool. We can see some of the information. Yeah. Okay, so great. There's an activity going on in a place. This is nice for a customer. They want to see this particularly. And let's see how it displays this to us and how this information is useful. And as per previous instruction, there's a latitude and longitude, so we also want to explore what are the nearby areas, because if we want to travel there, we want to see what are the nearby areas too. This is very helpful if you think about, because what customers usually do is travel is usually separated from your uh, local travel, and you have to switch across Google and all this, but this unified platform gives you the whole experience together. Now if you see, it says that these are some of the great activities. What are the cost? It gives me some pictures too, giving me the experience if I would like to visit it, and also an applicability to book them. And the map is loading too, where I can see what is the mm, area around it. So if I want to see also, just show me. I want to, but I need some hotel bookings also. Some hotels around uh, Bangalore. Just to check, it's yeah. And we also have a rating system, so you want to get the ratings of the hotels. That too works, but for the limited demo, I'll keep it to this. And if you think about, we can run from an end to end, book a flight, everything it can do, but due to the limitation of nvidia APIs running at the concurrency, there are some limitations, but we can still try this out. So to get the hotels around again, let's see here, which is hotel search details API. You'll need the latitude longitude, so this should again give it an understanding that it first needs to call the geo locations API, and that is another API which comes from open weather. Now with this, let's see what are we getting. Okay, it's trying to get the memory, but so for this part, I think we'll need to okay, it's getting it. Perfect. So the memory is empty here. So I think it will give back the memory to the, because it is not able to find any relevant information. So it will go back to DeepSeek and find some information for it. But if you think about this, super exciting, because given all these tools, given all the options, it can interact with the customers, book flights for them, because there are further APIs which can book these flights. Nvidia's API, which is very user friendly, and all this is in test environment. You can try it out, and when you're ready, you can move it to the production. So it's very important to know how a customer is being empowered to plan the whole journey out, along with the local details, giving them a very holistic experience. So now let's get the geolocation details out. Let's see if it can give us some the hotel locations near our place of visit. And some of the data in the database is old enough because of the APIs, and I've been trying it since few days. So I've just written a utility function which converts the dates to the latest today's state. So if you're trying it, will emulate it for today's state. Okay, if you see, it's now calling the hotel search details, and it has already found some hotels near my location. So let's see how it gives me this information. Okay, it's perfect. If you see, it gives me the map of the location where I'm near. It gives me some options as to from the center how much distance it is. It's very helpful. Uh, and some of these are test data because I'm using a test nvidia API. When you move to production, you get more real-time data. And I can move across. I can see the locations. I can go into more details. It's very helpful. Hope this is helpful enough for demo. Thank you.